Welcome in, everybody. I'm your host, Matt Novak. Alongside me, as always, Grant Hawker.
Always.
Still repping the hat. It's been a
hmm
week to it. On the third mic, Jamison DeFore.
Sad Mariner noises.
Oh, dude. Let's go. Grant, we can just get it out of the way.
Yeah.
I saw your post. I saw the story. Wholeheartedly agree, as would everybody. Do you want to read it?
Yeah, I think it's still on. I'll read it. But not the quote, but the thing that's been rattling in my head is just the phrase, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat.
Word.
I've never, to me, I'm going to say it. To me is more heartbreaking than running out the 1 yard line for
Ooh.
the Seahawks. To
Is
me,
that because of the immediacy, though?
no,
I'm,
it's not. It's because of the context of the Seahawks. The Seahawks just won it the year before. The Mariners were 9 outs away from doing something that the franchise has never done. And to me, the context of that matters. And so I'm frustrated, but honestly, more than anything, I'm just sad. I'm just so sad. It, they were up. It was the bottom of the seventh inning, up by 2 runs, with 2 runners on, facing the top of the Blue Jays order. Dan Wilson should have gone to Andres Munoz with a sub-2 ERA and was 38 for 38 in save opportunities. I said it while this was happening that this was the ball game. This moment was the ball game. Granted, there were still the eighth and ninth inning to go, but this was the last time you're probably going to see the top of their order, that being the George Springers, the Vlad Guerreros, the Alejandro Kirks. This was the moment that Dan Wilson should have gone to Andres Munoz and instead went with Edward Bizardo, who's like our fourth best reliever, who's been nails, honestly, in this playoffs. He had like in this postseason, I think he had a 1.3 ERA, like also great. But instead, what happens instead of going to that guy, you go to our fourth or third best reliever, and he gives up a 3-run home run to put the Blue Jays up by 1 run. And I'm frustrated because at this moment, even if Andres Munoz maybe wasn't at his best, maybe he was hearing something in the pen, Andres Munoz at 75% is still better than Edward Brazardo at 100%. And for Andres Munoz, you needed the strikeout. That's what you needed. The Blue Jays had not seen him. George Springer had not seen him at all in this playoffs. He had not seen him at all. He had seen Brazardo yesterday and like in game 2 or 3. You absolutely need to give your guy the best chance, give your team the best chance to win. And in that moment, throwing out a guy that has already been seen in a moment, the most crucial moment in Mariners history. Mariners. That's what it is right now. I'm mourning. The Mourners. But legitimately, man, it is just so heartbreaking for that to happen. And when I talk about moments in baseball being this thrill and this exciting, it also comes with just some of the biggest heartbreaks ever. And it's hard to not think that this team is cursed. And honestly, I don't know if there's a sports team that has had it worse than the Mariners. They've never been to a championship, never been to one, not won one, never been to one. And they were 9 outs away from beating the phrase same old Mariners. They were 9 outs away from that, and they couldn't get it done. And while that's heartbreaking, and in the immediacy I'm upset, I'm also extremely grateful because this was the greatest Mariners season ever. For me, being able to hold my like 4-hour-old daughter while Jorge Polanco hit a game winner in the hospital, hit a game winner going 15 innings, a walk-off hit there to see a go-ahead grand slam in game 5 of the ALCS. Like, this team gave Mariners fan base like moments in Seattle. Those 2 moments are moments they'll always remember. And Mariners organization has built statues for those types of moments. They're statue building moments. And so while I'm heartbroken, I also think this is the beginning. They have the best farm system in the league. They have opportunity to run it back and build off their strong pitching and build off their lineup. And so I'm heartbroken, but to me, this isn't the end. To me, this is the beginning. And in order to revere the success, you have to experience the loss too. And while I am extremely heartbroken and gutted, like probably never before that I've experienced in sports, I'm also really just extremely grateful for this season, for this team, what they gave the city, because I haven't seen this before ever. And so to play meaningful games in October is just, there's a moment where I'm like, man, I don't want to experience this because it hurts, but there's so many great moments. And so, yeah, this hurts. It hurts a lot. But I really am grateful for this season. And it's a season that I'll always remember. I'll always remember this season being 9 outs away from going to the World Series. And I think in the next 2 to 4 years, I think that they're going to do it. I really do, because they're young. They've signed all their star players to long-term deals. They're not going anywhere. And so I'm hopeful and I'm excited, and they're going to do it one of these days. And I will still be there to root for it. And it's going to make that win and that inevitable World Series win mean so much more.
Yeah. As a Red Sox fan that was just a little bit younger than you, when my team finally got what they'd been searching for 90 years, it was a pretty incredible moment. And like, you think about the people that lived and died without ever seeing a World Series and kept rooting for those bums.
Yeah.
And that was like a very real thing. Like, to be in the generation as an adult that's gotten to see multiple world championships. I know the angst of getting into the playoffs and not getting there. I was too young to understand or feel the moment of Buckner kicking the ball at first base against the Mets, which is all-time legendary blunder, of course, in baseball. But I know what it's like to sit there and your stomach just do knots. It's different. It's a different thing than football. Football is confined. It's 3 hours and it's over. Baseball is 7 games long of that. Yeah. And it's just absolute anarchy on your emotions. And in football, there's a progression that happens. Like, you can feel momentum often. Not saying like an interception or a fumble doesn't clearly in just a moment change the whole course of stuff. But you can feel a lot of momentum. You can feel that drive coming. You can see that defense get multiple stops. You know some stuff, like there's this buildup and then the celebration or the heartbreak of it. But there's a buildup. In baseball, there's 250 pitches thrown in that game in 9 innings by the two teams. Any one of them's going over a fence and scoring that run that makes it happen. And that's what happened there. Springer caught the one.
I literally got up, went to the bathroom, and came back, and I was like, what just happened?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm like,
oh no. It's so heartbreaking because everything, like, I started to dream, like, legit 9 outs away. Like, I legit right now I'm getting teary-eyed, just 9 outs away from doing something I've never seen before. And just for that to just be snatched away in one swing, it's gone. It's just, you just sit there and you just go, I slid off the couch and just sat with my back up against it and just took my hat off and just put my head in my hands. And it's just, and I knew it was like, yeah, they're down by 1 run and they still had 2 more chances to go. But I'm like, I knew it was done.
Right.
But I knew it was done. I knew it. Like, just, I knew that they wouldn't be able to do that because you just, throughout all of it, man, your stars showed up in that game. Julio went yard, Cal Raleigh went yard. Like, the pitching was great, and it's just because of some mistakes, and it just proves how important managing in the postseason is, too. Like, those decisions matter so freaking much, dude.
You will live and die. You will live and die with that one. If a manager's name I don't like saying out loud doesn't put in Boone to swing at a pitch against I don't like talking about it. In the playoffs against my team, different thing happens. And it's one quick decision. For those of you, going back to a point that you made, and we'll get off baseball because we have some freaking awesome stuff to talk about from this week in football. But for those of you that might go, hey, why would Grant advocate for a closer coming in that early? It's baseball. Outs are outs when you get to the end. Those spots matter. Like, when you talk about a closer and somebody who pitches in the 9th inning, that's what closers do. It doesn't matter anymore. Like, when you get into this depth of baseball, it's about getting outs.
Yep, you're counting outs. You're counting outs. You're not counting length.
In relief after being the starter in a game the day before. Doesn't care. Yeah. I'm here until my arm falls off because this is what we do it for. Worked our whole lives to get to this place. I may never come back. So my elbow can have a Tommy John after this week. Yeah. Everything can happen after this, but I'm giving all of it. It's the Kurt Schilling bloody sock type of mentality. Like, we're giving it all to the bitter end. And outs are outs. All you got to do is find a way to get 27 outs when you're in game 7. That's it. That's all you're looking to do. Yeah, I agree with Grant. In that situation, top of that order, George Springer's a murderer. And, like, he's done it for 2 teams now. Where
he cheated in one of his teams. So
committed the action of getting his team there. And I would argue his coaching staff did the majority of that cheating on his behalf. But not, he's a murderer when it matters. Like, he's really good when it matters.
Yeah, he's 3rd all time in home runs in the postseason.
Yep.
And that's too where I don't know if it would have changed the outcome. If Andres Munoz went in and did that, it might have happened. And when he did come into the next inning, he gave up 2 singles. But if you give up 2 singles, you're tied. You're not ahead. Right. A tie is much different from being ahead in the 8th and 9th inning. And 2, but you go down with your best players. That's what you do. 100. You go down best for best. If you put out your best pitcher against their best hitters, and one of them is going to win. One of them is going to win. But if that's the case, you tip your hat. But when you're throwing out your 3rd or maybe 4th best reliever against their best, when it's the 4th time through an order and it's a guy they've already seen, that's where it's just frustrating. And you go with the best of the best because that's the ball game. I told my wife that was the ball game when they were making that pitching change. I was like, this is going to be the game right here. And sure enough. And it was just easy to see and read it. If baseball, it was easy to see that's what was going to happen.
Yeah, and you always question things afterwards. But the one thing that this doesn't give us as sports fans, this turned it into USA versus Canada, which Canada loves, by the way. They love it.
Go Dodgers.
But there's no good outcome here. There's really not.
I could
say USA, but nobody wants to root for the Dodgers is not a Dodgers fan. That's not you don't want
100%. And 2, I think there's going to be some I think the Dodgers are going to win. I think they're going to win in 5. The Dodgers are that much better. And there is definitely going to be a lockout that takes place this next season because of the players' unions up, and they're going to demand some changes to the salary cap issue. That they're not the fact that there isn't one. But I will say, I think the first change that actually needs to happen is not a salary cap, but a salary floor, because there are some teams who are spending like $60 million on their entire payroll. That is egregious. If you're an owner of an MLB team, you need to commit at least $120 million to your franchise if you want to own a baseball team. You can't just sit there and penny pinch and then collect all the rewards from tickets and merchandise and food. You need to invest in your team. And also, owners, if you invest in your team, fans show up. The Mariners didn't for a long time. They started investing in their team, and that stadium has been packed for the last 4 years when they've been winning 90 games a year. If you invest in your team, they show up and you will make money that way. Invest in your team.
Yeah. And the amount of money that they're making off of TV deals and the overage when teams go over the caps, like the Dodgers pay into other teams, like the Marlins. Tampa Bay did that for a number of years. Oakland. Darn it. The A's, my bad.
Sacramento.
Whatever. But those teams get revenue dollars from and share dollars from these agreements and the overage on the cap. And then there's still, so if you really think about what they're spending, say a team's only spending 60, a lot of times those teams are seeing 30 to 40 million dollars coming in from those 2 revenue sources, whether it's the TV contracts or this over the cap dollars that they end up putting into a pool and putting out, which by the way, most major sports do, including the NBA and the NFL, have that overage system that pays into other teams. But those dudes are only spending like 20, 30 million dollars on salary. That's wild.
The Miami Marlins are 30th with $67 million. That's less than Shohei Ohtani's contract.
And they're not competitive at all. Nobody goes to the games. Nobody cares. They're just a bump on the schedule and somebody's pet, it looks like. But don't be the Mets either and go spend a bunch of money and suck. But
and that's the thing, too. You got to take credit for the Dodgers because, like, they're paying these guys that other teams weren't willing to pay. They weren't willing to pay Blake Snell. They weren't willing to pay. The Angels weren't willing to pay Shohei Ohtani. They weren't willing to. The Braves
Which
weren't
is
willing
crazy, by the way.
Which is insane. Give him all the money. That's insane.
Yeah, he went to the Angels and said, hey, the Dodgers want to pay me this. You pay this. And they said no.
Legitimately, I need to say this about baseball. We got to get off this. But, like, legitimately, we cannot go through an episode and not acknowledge one of the greatest moments of sports history that happened this last week. Shohei hit 3 home runs, had 10 strikeouts in a single game. Either one of those things would put him on a list.
6 scoreless, by the way.
Incredible. Yep. And legitimately, he did both of them in one game. He won it by himself.
Yep.
I'm not like saying this lightly. You need to hear what happened this last week in the history of baseball. This was the best postseason performance by anyone ever in the game.
No stop.
There is no comparison. He's the best ever to do it in one single game. Literally from behind the plate. All right, sorry, from in the box and on the mound. That's just wild to have somebody do what he just did. You're literally watching one of the 3 greatest players of all time, most likely. And you purists can hate me. Oh, we can't see the 20 years of his career. Dude, you just saw the best moment in postseason history. Dude did it all by himself. That's wild.
I think he's number one. He's the greatest player of all time.
There's gonna be some statistics that add up to really equate to that conversation. We've said that, or people have those conversations all the time. It's the stupid conversation we have to have with Jamison about LeBron. And it's fine, but
yeah, Shohei is the LeBron of baseball. He's the GOAT. We get it.
Nope, no, he's not. Because when you lose more championships than you win, it's a big deal. Also, it's kind of a big deal. But anyway, no.
MJ couldn't beat the 72-10 Bulls, by the way. Just saying. Anyways, continue.
It's fine. I do believe. Anyway, I'm not going to get into it. We're going to stay on task. We're literally going to cut this. I think we should cut this and make it a baseball feature. But no, it really was. And it doesn't matter how you look at it. It was the greatest moment in postseason history. And if he's not in your top 3 players of all time, you're just being nostalgic. That's all there is to it. Because the best guy I've ever seen play in my life is playing right now.
Yep,
he is. And all due respect to Barry Bonds and the size of his head, but genuinely, like, Shohei is the guy. I want to get in football. We need to get to it. Let's have some fun. We went through last week's picks. Me and Grant went 3-2 in our pick'em. Jamison and Mike went 4-1. Mike's starting to pull away. I'm getting a little nervous, so I got to do better this week. But, guys, we saw one of the dumbest things ever happen on an NFL field that I can remember in my life. When you are down in the manner which one team was heading into the fourth quarter, you should just lose. You should definitely lose. There's no reason for you to win a game when you have 0 points, and the other team, honestly, is even in double digits. Like, at that point, they've been in command the whole time. They figured out what they need to do. Unfortunately, somebody forgot to tell the Denver Broncos that, because they were down 19-0 at the close of the third quarter. At the 151 marker left in the fourth quarter, they were up 30-26. Jackson Dart did some awesome stuff, and the Giants go back up 32-20 with 37 seconds left, which was clearly a mistake. We can all acknowledge that now. You bleed the clock a little better than they did. But then the Broncos and Bo Nix who made an incredible pass to Courtland Sutton. That was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Get the opportunity to move the ball down the field, and as time expires, kick a field goal and win 33-32, meaning they scored 33 points in the fourth quarter to take down the Giants. Never seen it before in my life. That was absolutely wild. I cannot believe that we're sitting here talking about them winning this game after I saw that score at the end of the third quarter. Stupid. Just absolutely stupid. And we'll say this on top of it. Dable has the answer for that 100%. Like, he absolutely does. There's multiple coaching issues for the Giants, defensive coordinator as well, but Dable has the answer for what him and his staff did to manage that fourth quarter. 19-point lead should not be blown at all, but to give up 33, why are you throwing the ball with a couple minutes left at, I think it was 250-ish marker, 247, something like that? You hike the ball on 3rd and 8. You run that. You run it wide. You waste as much time as you can on that play, and then you let the clock come all the way down to 2 minutes. The other team has no timeouts left. You punt the ball. You eliminate the 2-minute warning. That's nearly impossible to go down and score the way that they did. So, like, I hated throwing the ball on 3rd and 8, giving the Broncos an opportunity right there, clock stopping on the incomplete pass, and then you punt it away, change of possession kills the clock. They've got all this time and a free timeout. Absolute stupid game management. And then I understand Jackson Dart wanting to score. The team needs to score with 37 seconds left. Totally get why you want to do it. But after all that crap just happened, bad call. Freaking take a knee if you need to, dude. But you cannot risk giving them the ball at that point at all. Did not love getting in there that quick. That said, great play by Jackson Dart to get in the end zone. He did not do, in my opinion, much wrong at all when you look at this game. Though he's running, it's not an RPO. He's literally getting pass plays called in situations that you shouldn't, and then executing them to the best of his ability. He scored 4 touchdowns total, responsible for 4. The rushing plus 3 passing in this game, had excellent passing statistics, managed this game, super effective. 32 points should win you a game in the NFL 9 times out of 10. This was number 10, and it's because your coach is a doofus. That was bad.
Yeah, I wonder what the Giants are going to do at head coach. Not Jackson Dart's playing well. Scadabo's playing. If they had Neighbors, like that's a solid offense. They've tried to invest in the O-line. Clearly, that's something they need to continue to do. But you look at this, you look at just the nonsense of going into the medical tent, some of the other like extracurricular stuff that he does or participates in. I'm like, he's acting like a high schooler, and like on some of those things, the way he screams at, I don't know. There's just he doesn't stare with me. I'm not a fan of this team. I don't watch this team. So if I'm wrong, but just from an outside perspective, who watches highlights of games every week, and that's to the extent of it, unless it's a primetime game. I don't know if you're the front office of the Giants, what you do with Brian Dable.
That's a coaching problem, dude. That was not a player problem. And I told you guys when the season started, I knew he was on the hot seat. He's on my list of 4 guys that need to go. Okay, if you're sitting there telling me that Russell Wilson is the best quarterback on your team, and you were evaluating the talent of Jackson Dart, Jameis Winston, and Russell Wilson, you're being genuine about that, you think he's that good? No, like you need to be done. And to stick with Tracy at the beginning of the year, I understand what he did for you last year. And there's a thing about being loyal to guys, and the NFL is big into that and all that.
Well, they are, but then they're not also.
Yeah, he has been.
Yeah.
He has been. And you see that. It's a good trait to have as a human being. It's not a good trait to have when your guys are underperforming and not to the level of excellence they need to be to lead a team. Russell Wilson was clearly the worst quarterback of the 3. It was a no-doubter from the get. And how he evaluated talent and said, put this on the field. And then how he feels comfortable with these soft defenses and stupid things that he's doing while managing play calling. Like, yeah, you're right, dude. He looks like an emotional teenager when he's walking the sideline, but he looks like an emotional teenager calling plays. He is too loyal to his friends, and he is being really juvenile when it comes to, we can just get it done. Don't worry. These guys, these are my boys. They'll get it done. Like, it literally looks like he's managing the team like an emotional teenager. And no offense to emotional teenagers everywhere, but you know nothing. Like, you have no idea what you're doing. And sometimes crud works out for you. It does, because you get lucky or just a situation lands in your favor. And literally that's what it looks like has happened is his GM handed him Cam, CTE. That's what I need to call him all the time. CTE and Jackson Dart. And those guys are awesome. And also he went traded for Brian Burns, who is also awesome.
And Sexy Dexy's out there doing his thing. Like,
and so it looks like you've been handed a lot and not done anything with it. They're 2-5. Realistically this year, I mean, if you remember, like the Cowboys game and this one, 2 games they should have. So, I mean, you look at this team should be 4-3.
And when you,
without some bad management.
When you lose close games, that's a coaching thing too. Like 100%. That's
consistently, especially.
Yeah, you're put in a position because it means that there was a decision that was made, a timeout that wasn't used, especially in a case like this, play call decision. When you're losing close games, that's usually not on the players.
Yeah, and to further that point, I'll remind you, the guy that he had playing quarterback for him last year is doing what he's doing right now in Indiana. Indiana Jones looks fantastic. Okay, Jackson Dart's playing great too, but Indiana Jones looks fantastic. You wasted 4 years of that guy, and you had a Ferrari in the backfield right next to him in Saquon Barkley, and this is still happening. He's still losing games. It's not a personnel issue. It's a coaching issue, and they need to move on as quickly as humanly possible. That said, that's fun football. Like, it's stinking fun to watch Scadabo and CTE. My bad. I got to just get in my head. CTE and Jackson Dart every week. It's so much fun, man. They're great. And I'm not going to say anything bad about them until they do something really ridiculous. Also, that touchdown where CTE lowers his head in the end zone. I don't know. I don't remember which Broncos defender it was. Dope. That was
like, I'm 5 yards across the goal line here. Let me still just lower my head and
he doesn't care about scoring. He wants contact.
Dude,
that's all he cares about.
I don't know if we've said this quote, but I've seen like the tweets like he's speed running CTE.
Yeah,
like that's what he's doing. He's speed running it as fast as he can.
Fantastic. We're gonna move to some other games in the pick'em this week. We also had the Rams Jags. I woke up and saw the score, Jamison.
Did you wake up and watch it? Did you wake up?
I did.
6 a.m.
6:30.
Yeah.
Alarm goes off at 6 a.m. I wake up and make some coffee, get on the couch, lock in, and then really try to mentally prepare myself for, is this going to ruin a full day's worth of football starting at 10 a.m.? or is it now going to enhance the experience because from 10 a.m. on, I can just
No dog in the fight, and you're just
no dog in the fight, and also I got the the boost of serotonin from having watched my team also win, but then still have 10 o'clock and 1 o'clock and night games still in front of me. Pretty
Dude.
nice.
I said it last week, but dude, being able to watch football all day these last couple of weeks is like it's bringing back to like high school days when I just had so good.
Yep, cleared my Sunday out for that, and it was pretty nice. It was a lot of football, and then also having 2 Monday night games was just it felt like a lot of hours of football, but not complaining. It was successful, but yeah, just we destroyed them. I don't even know what more to say about that.
No Puka, no problem. Devonta Adams revival. 3 touchdowns in this game. Matthew Stafford, 5 total touchdowns.
Did he only have like
First
30
time in
yards?
10 years.
Devonta Adams.
Like
he didn't have very many yards.
Was it 60?
I think there was one like decent chunk play he got, and then outside of that, yeah, it was all like goal line fades basically.
He had 35 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
goal line monster. Let's go.
yeah, 3 of his 5 touchdowns, 3 of his 5 receptions were touchdowns.
Yeah. And he has been doing a lot of short yardage work in doing nitty gritty. Like I've seen how some of those routes, the drags and chairs over the middle or to the outside, doing some toe tapping for first downs, that kind of thing. So not a huge surprise how they've been using him, but I don't remember a whole lot of times that I saw 5 touchdowns and less than 200 yards from a quarterback. So kudos to defense punting the ball and a couple of turnovers. Like
we turned him over on downs at least like 4 times.
Yep.
Well,
So it was just like, okay, and we'll just march this down and score another and get out of here. Let's go.
Yeah, dude. And Matt, your take about the Jaguars being fool's gold, it is ringing real true. We all thought it here, but specifically because we
Brian
made
Thomas
that
Jr.
clip
also
of it,
still just really having a tough 3rd season.
We did see the breakout of Travis Hunter though, over 100 yards there.
Yeah,
So-
some of that, a lot of that was a garbage time. The garbage time touchdown. They were already down multiple scores, and it was good to see him finally get his first score in the league and kind of take primary receiving duties this game. But it was still, I feel, 1 garbage time and 2 Brian Thomas Jr. had a couple drops.
Yeah, and as much as we wanted Liam Cohen coming in as a fantastic play caller that he was for the Bucs and just his offensive prowess, this team has 14 takeaways. Okay, didn't get any this week, but they have 14 takeaways. In 6 games. That is why they were winning games. And what you've seen when you don't have a defense that's consistent in terms of the yardage stoppage, and you get that, is they still need to have the offensive pressure on all the time in order to be a consistently successful team. So one of the reasons I said, hey, this team is not good, is because my 49ers had to turn the ball over 4 times on their own side of the field for them to score 26 points. The defense has kept them in games. That offense is not moving. It's not. It needs some consistency. They don't have tight end play. That's a huge deal right now in the game. You need to
missing Evan Ingram pretty badly.
Yeah.
Don't have it. And realistically, like, they have a receiver, and I would honestly say that on other teams, Travis Hunter right now is a 3, not a 2. And Brian Thomas isn't playing like a 1, as you already stated. So there's some things they need to do to get better. That game was a wash.
Yeah, we sacked him 7 times as well, which has been a theme for.
Oh yeah, I think the Seahawks sacked
Seahawks
him
did the
7
same.
or 8 times as well. So that's
and we've now seen him get sacked at least 7 times in both of those games by defenses that have a power pass rush and a speed pass rush between the 2 of our teams. And both, it's like no matter what way they're going about it, like they're
in his lap every other play.
We mentioned already, I'll move into our next one, Indiana Jones today. The Colts get a true test, in my opinion, in the Chargers. I know the Chargers are missing bookend tackles, Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater. We talked about it before.
Mekhi Becton as well.
Yep. And that is awful for them and that offensive line.
That's 3 out of your 5. Like
Your
that's
top 2 running backs are on IR.
Watch, but if you go and watch what the Colts offensive and defensive lines are doing right now as units, both of those units are operating inside the top 6 or 7 for sure on their respective sides of the ball. Been pretty fantastic. They did a great job again. Jonathan Taylor, oh my gosh, just wide semi-truck looking lanes to run the ball. Nelson looking like Quentin Nelson, like genuinely. We thought he took last year off. Like, it was just, he didn't look motivated, didn't care. Dude, he was ripping people apart in this game. The Colts are legit. Absolutely. Like, you can't deny it now. We said a couple weeks ago, we're going to see by the end of October, we know what these teams are. The Colts are legit. They absolutely are.
They're 6-1. You can't argue that.
What's that?
They're 6-1. You can't argue that.
No, you absolutely can't. The Chargers are better than their record, but they are an injury-prone team. They are an injury-reduced team, and they have felt it more than most this year, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But holy cow, the Colts look really good, putting up almost 40. One team did put up 40 points this week on our pick'em. That was the Cowboys, 44-22 over the Commanders. Dak Prescott continues to be really good at regular season football. He is fantastic at it. The offense looks really good with George Pickens just running in there. CD back, like, they look real good. I got to say, though, there's a guy that needs to retire that plays for the Commanders. Did you see the stats on Marshawn Lattimore this last week?
No. Do you have him?
He's basically an end-of-the-contract guy for them. There's nothing there. Dude, Marshawn Lattimore got both Pickens and CD this week. Lamb on him gets 5 receptions, 110 yards, a touchdown. Pickens, 4 catches, 82 yards. His coverage grade this week was a 29.2. Bro got lit up.
Yikes.
I've always hated him. You know what? Rip Bozo. We'll see ya. We'll see ya. That's that Saints beef right there, baby.
To forget. That was so bad. The Commanders also did play this game, I will say, without Scary or Debo. Their number one receiver going into the game was McCaffrey, not Christian. Luke was listed as their number one. Zach Ertz, obviously their other option to throw to right now. Didn't look good. Daniels goes down again with the hammy. Man, we've said this a lot over the years, those slender frames in the NFL on these quarterbacks. I remember watching Robert Griffin several years ago, and I made the joke about how he looked like he had Kevin Durant's ankles and Greg Oden's knees, which that really did turn out to be true, unfortunately for him. Jaden Daniels, that tiny frame's taking a lot of shots right now. The hamstring, just because of the stress being put onto those legs to do a lot. I got to imagine. Mariota threw a real bad one that came back on them. But he was not planning on playing this week, so there is that for sure. That was an ugly game. 44, again, 22 on that. Commanders' defense, I knew was not good. They were really bad. They're like,
also, real quick, can I just give a slightly hesitant shout out to Brian Schottenheimer?
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I feel like he has stepped in there and is coaching as well as he can with what he has at his disposal, especially obviously he's not coaching the defense primarily. That's a team that I think had a lot of holes, and we were very well prepared to clown them after the Micah Parsons thing, and
Rightfully so.
justifiably.
Yeah.
Because if that team had a guy like that on it right now, we'd be like, oh, like this is actually, we'll believe it when we see it in the postseason with the Cowboys. But that's a team that legitimately would strike fear into you because you have at least one absolute blue chipper on defense, and then you have an offense that is going to score 40 points a game. And that's like a recipe for, I don't want to see you in a single elimination format. Again, whether we believe they would be able to do it or not. So I all things considered, I feel like there were a lot of jokes at his dispense. I feel like he, at least right now, deserves a little bit of notable kudos for the season.
I think the way he's handling the offense or managing the team in general is really smart. You got to bend to your strengths. I've lit up this defense many times because it's horrible. You're giving up 22 points still to an offense without its top 2 receivers, an offense that lost its lead running back early in the season. Like, they're still trying to figure out a lot. And because the defense sucks, they're seemingly coming from behind in several of these games. So I'm definitely not going to crown their defense as good at any point in time. But I got to say, yeah, I agree with the coaching job that he's doing with what he's been handed. And
George Pickens isn't having meltdowns. I feel like that's a pretty notable thing. Like, we give Tomlin a lot of credit. Granted, he's playing with much worse quarterbacks when he was in Pittsburgh, and that's probably 75% of the drama. So playing with Dak probably alleviates that a little bit, but just that's a big character, big emotion guy, and he's seemingly been locked in check this whole season so far. through 7 weeks, and I would not have expected a guy who just rolled in like that with Schottenheimer to be in control seemingly of that. Yeah, thumbs up to you. You're still the Cowboys, and I hate you, but you know what? Thumbs up.
He's doing a fine job. He's
They're
doing fine.
3-3. They're 500.
Yeah.
No.
That tie is going to help him a lot.
3-3-1. It'll actually help.
3-3-1.
It'll help others. I will say this: they have not allowed less than 22 points in a game this year. Okay, so they have not allowed that was the lowest amount of points that they have allowed, and that was to a team without so many weapons and that was struggling with health this week. They gave up 24 to the Eagles, of course, the famous 37 to the Giants. They gave up 31 to the Bears. They gave up 40 to the Packers. They gave up 22 to the Jets, who suck. They gave up 30 and lost to the Panthers, and then come in and get this one with 22. They have to face the Broncos this next week. They will then have 2 games they should win against the Cardinals and the Raiders. Then they have to play the Eagles again, then the Chiefs, then the Lions, then the Vikings, then the Chargers. We're going to see what they are through this run. But right now, they're a decently coached team doing a pretty good job that's about to run into a wall, in my opinion. We'll see what they are after the next 4 or 5 games, but they better win both of those games against the Raiders and the Cardinals, or that's going to come back to haunt them when we start having postseason conversations for sure. Those are wins you got to have here upcoming. The surprise of the week, I was really hoping for a good game. Outside
Me
of
too.
With the Lions and the Bucks, I was really hoping for a good game. Kudos to the Lions defense for taking down the Buccaneers 24-9. They led the game from start to finish. Baker couldn't get into it. Baker, by the way, losing Mike Evans to a broken collarbone, which does none of our souls any good. We are
that was tough.
big fans of Mike Evans on the show. Love how he plays the game. Love watching him jump and high point balls and just truck dudes. He is, as a strong individual. That's not good for the NFL, not good for the Bucks. He will be missed. That seemingly took some oomph out of this game for them. That was pretty lame. That ends, by the way, Mike Evans' epic 1K yard receiving streak of 11 years.
He will stay tied with Jerry Rice for it. He will not break it.
Not
to
bad
me,
company.
no, it's not bad company, but to me, that is when I saw that, I was like, that was the second saddest thing in sports for me this week was that Mike Evans will not get his 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
That's a real bummer. And this probably is the last time we may see him in a Bucs uniform. I just think with
that.
But I just think with the emergence of Ibuka, I think he's still under contract for 1 more year. But to me, it's we can probably not pay you and get similar production.
He could get the Cooper Kupp treatment. That could totally happen. But I would say, I think his production, if he goes somewhere else, is going to be more than that of Cooper Kupp, obviously, this year, who, by the way, hosed a lot of people when he threw an interception this week.
Double agent Cooper Kupp.
But here's the thing, though. If you're in fantasy, why would you draft Cooper Kupp? Let's just be real.
Yes. So what hosed most people was those who, for some stupid reason, decided to start the other team's defense in that game because he handed over those those points to them, right?
Yes.
And so that was what hurt most people. If you're starting Cooper Kupp, that's a weird league. You must have to be super desperate.
Yeah, you got 24 teams.
You got 5 starting wide receivers. That's wild. But no, the Bucs though going forward. Oh, I need to say this though on the Lions' sake because they did play a good game, managed it well. Gibbs had a nice big night for them. Again, only allowing 9 points. Branch looked real good. Maybe that dude needs to punch somebody more often. And by the way, he picked a great person to punch. I did not bring that up last week, but if you're gonna punch somebody in the NFL, punch
Juju Smith-Schuster. Yeah,
that guy sucks. 100%, no problem. Not advocating for injuries. Everybody needs to get punched every now and then in life. That guy could get punched probably daily for a while before he comes back to reality. But wasn't sad to see Branch come back and have a good game. The Bucs will be getting some reserves back here. Godwin coming back from injury. Ibuka's going to get healthy here, and he looks all of the things you want him to be. And then Bucky should be coming back. Though Rachaad White has played just fine. He is supposed to be the complement back and go in there and start when he's needed. And 60 yards isn't what you want, but also they were down the whole time this week. It is what it is. That's not a big deal. Rashad White's filled in admirably. He's got over a 4-point on yards per carry. That's all you can ask. He catches passes out of the backfield. He's just not the dynamic runner that Bucky is, but he is more than a serviceable backup. He can genuinely start a good chunk of games and get you some dubs. They'll get some guys back. They'll be okay. Still on the Bucs bandwagon. That's still a really good team. They just need to deal with those injuries. Old man game of the week.
Nursing home edition. What's
The
up?
Icy Hot Bowl, they were calling it.
Bro, when the quarterbacks are older than me, it seems like they should not be allowed to play this game. Joe Flacco, once again, slinging it. Love it. We get one of these.
Joe Cool. Another Joe Cool in Cincinnati, my friend.
It was Thursday night football against a team that I still say should not make the playoffs. But maybe they will because their division blows. But that was hilarious for Flacco to come back, put his team in position to win the game, and just get it done again. Like, I love it. Man, there's so many good memes out there from Thursday night. Like, the videos that guys are making describing the chaos that's happened within that division and him just going up and blowing up the Steelers. Can he revive this team, though, enough to dethrone the Steelers? They just went up one. Like, they have the tiebreaker right now. Could he do it? Like, is he good enough?
We're only like
Field?
We're only like 2 or 3 seasons away from him like taking that Browns team to the playoffs. That's not that we're not that far removed from that.
But they're only a game back.
They're only a game back. I think that this team, the thing with Joe Flacco though is that yes, there's a couple of these games, but then you're like, oh, that's why he's a backup. Those games are coming. That it's like he'll have that great one where we're like, whoa, who is this guy? Whoa, he's back or whatever. But then it is always like, oh, that's why he's been a backup for this long. He's been a backup.
Yeah, I will say this though, in his defense, he's not throwing the ball to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase on those other teams.
That's a very fair point.
You saw his interview after the game. He's look, if you can't get the ball moving and score points with these guys on your team, then you shouldn't be out here. Like he gave all the credit right back to them. He's like, you got to be able to do this. And what did he throw the first week? 13 times to Jamar? Or 13 catches, something like that.
He had 16 catches for 161 yards on 23 targets.
That's wild. Just insane.
But that's what you should do when you have Jamar Chase. Like, just feed him.
Take some notes. Just write some stuff down.
And by the way, also still just 23 targets to Jamar Chase. T. Higgins still had 10 targets.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
33 targets between two guys.
Bro.
Here's
ridiculous.
Here's what I would say, though, and it's not because he's like my favorite player of all time. I would be more inclined to say, Matt, what you said about him, Joe Flacco taking them there, if Jameis Winston was their quarterback. I do that. Their chances for the Bengals more if it was Jameis Winston, because again, the Joe Flacco stinker games are coming. Like, it's gonna come.
Dude, he just did this with the Browns. He just did it.
But then there was the stinkers and they cost them.
But the stinkers with the Browns, I would say, are different.
Okay, they might be.
It's wild. I'm just saying, this is the team who, by the way, will be the definition of you throw the ball to run the ball.
Oh,
the reverse has always been true in the NFL. Mm-hmm. This team will throw the ball to run the ball. No offense, Chase Brown, but you look like garbage for most of the season so far. And I know that offensive line is not good, but they've got a quarterback that gets rid of the ball real quick. That is the one thing. Flacco knows exactly what he is going to do. Apparently, it's throw the ball to Jamar Chase at all costs, but he knows what he's going to do at the start of every, and he gets rid of that ball faster than just about everybody still at 40 years plus. That was pretty impressive. Rodgers, by the way, throws 2 interceptions to that defense in this game, and that is the difference. We're giving Flacco all the credit here, and he deserves kudos, but Rodgers turning over the ball, I have said this many times, that team will fall apart. The fact that defensive line couldn't get it going against a quarterback that's over 40 years old, and that offensive line that has been an absolute, seriously, toll booth, dude. They're just letting everybody through. That's wild that they could not take down Flacco consistently in this game. And then, for Rodgers to throw picks the way that he did, I don't know how they weren't going to score 30-plus points when you make those decisions in the places where he made them. Yeah, man, he's had some really good weeks and been steady. But I also think he's going to have those games, and this was one of them.
Let me just say this too while we're on the run the football kick that you were talking about, because I agree. Chase hasn't been a great runner, or sorry, not Chase. Brown hasn't been a great runner of the football behind that line. And despite that, went 11 for 108 on 9.8 a carry in this game against the Steelers defense. And we have Rodgers throwing 2 picks against a terrible Bengals defense. And then we also have a Steelers defense allowing a rusher to go 11 for 108 on you with 2 20-plus yard carries on a team that's identity is supposed to be, we're going to run a big personnel on offense. We're going to dink and dunk and maybe take a shot and let Aaron Rodgers do his thing, which he, outside of those 2 picks, was like actually pretty solid. But then your defense, which is, again, the entire identity of that Steelers team, is allowing 350 passing yards from 40-year-old Joe Flacco and 100 rushing yards from Chase Brown. Like, can we be serious?
Yeah. That is not the elite Steelers defense that you would need to be successful for this offense. For this kind of offense, you need an elite defense.
And dude, watch Ramsey get cooked.
Oh my goodness, he got bad
right now. It's not good. And yes, you can be like, hey Matt, you just got done talking about Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and how good they are. Yes, watch previous weeks, dude. Like, I'm just in coverage. He is not at all. He's a shell of who he was even 3, 4, 5 years ago. Like, the digression is quick. We understand that when you get on the wrong side of 30 at cornerback in the NFL, it's rough. And I know I just picked on Marshawn Lattimore, who's clearly at the end of his career. That's rough. But legitimately know it. I understand collecting a paycheck as long as you can get one in the NFL. I get that. I really do. It's millions of dollars. It's a lottery ticket, all that stuff. But bro, he is that bad.
If you're gonna swap basically across the board him and Minkah Fitzpatrick, it's okay. Why did we do that?
That still makes no sense. It literally makes no sense. I will say about the Steelers, though, I need to make my one Steelers positive comment of the week. I usually do have averaged one. When they throw out their 3 tight end set and Metcalf all at the same time inside the 10-yard line.
That's some big boys, some big units right there.
That is terrifying.
Yeah, from like a schematic standpoint, I actually don't hate their process for running offense in that way. It's just, again, like the ceiling of that is so low comparatively. Maybe it's a bit of a floor raising defense, but as soon as you throw an interception or 2 in this game, like that's not an offense that's going to allow you to get out of that hole, even against one of the worst defenses that we've ever watched.
But your point there, the floor raising is real. That's absolutely accurate. That's real. That's what that does, throwing all 4 of those massive dudes out there.
The Freiermuth is a problem when you have him in that lineup specifically. He went 5 for 111 2 tuds. Yep. Like he was cooking. And Aaron, I think, has really dialed in like those tight end connections. And Warren has also been consistently really good for them. But again, like floor raising, absolutely. But that ceiling is just so limited. And that was one of the reasons why I think a lot of us have just been pretty down on them, especially if you're not going to roll out like a Browns level defense to like really control the game that way and then just play mistake-free football and score 20 points a game. Cool, you can win. They're sitting at 4-2. Obviously, they've already had their bye. I still think that if you are looking at the AFC North here, not quite halfway through the season, they're 4-2. The Bengals sneakily now 3-4 coming off of that. I still don't see it for Pittsburgh. People might want to try to pop off for now while they've been looking decent, and sure, you could even argue, oh, we could be 5-1, and so that would still be one of the more fraudulent 5-1s I can remember seeing.
And again, even if they make it to the playoffs, they're gonna get bounced. Let's just
immediately
if
they make it, it's just because their division sucks.
It's like
the AFC South of the year, like legitimately. The AFC South's been trash for a while. Like, this would be the AFC South squad of the year. Nobody thought that the Ravens were going to be what they are. Everybody thought Joe Burrow would survive the season. If that dude's playing football, they own this division. The Bengals,
right now,
with as bad as their defense is, they would own this division. This should be the 3rd place team in this division, but 2 quarterbacks are sitting on the sideline for the other 2 teams that win
are
games
better
in the North. So genuinely, it's fool's gold. Like, I'll call it out one more time. I said this about the Cardinals. Holy crap, if they proved me after they had a couple impressive wins.
See ya, bozo.
Yep. See, I said it about the Jags because I was watching those numbers and I'm like, these stats aren't adding up. This is not, you cannot get the average takeaways that they're getting every single week in the NFL. It's just not going to continue to happen for you. That's why I said it about the Jags. And I will say it about this team. When you are pressed with a passing attack, you cannot keep up with it. You have one guy that's getting after the quarterback with any consistency who is injury prone. I'm not wishing anything on Watt, but like, he is pretty injury prone, and your back end can't handle it. And by the way, you gave up a Pro Bowl, all pro safety who used to hold that back end down to go get another tight end when you already had two good ones. I don't know what you were doing, but Jonnu Smith is not worth what you did.
No.
Absolutely not. It was not a salary cap issue. This is just a weird move. But they got worse in that backfield, and it's showing. Giving up 30 points when they have that offensive line says a lot. We have to get to one more game from the pick'em, and then I got a couple comments. I'm sure Grant has one or two at least. He did have some redemption happen after his team lost in the ALCS on Monday. We got to get to the Eagles, Vikings. We have been hammering the fact that Jalen Hurts cannot throw the ball downfield. Thank God that the Vikings decided to surrender some shots this week. Devonta on a big break. That was a good throw. Great catch on that streak play. Gets one and takes off. Air yards still, it was enough to call it a long, deep ball. I get it. But it wasn't superhuman, that's for sure. I watched a 7th grade boy the other day complete a 42-yard air pass at my son's game. Thank God it was his quarterback. So I know that anybody can throw a ball 40 yards down the field because that kid's maybe 125 pounds that threw the ball. So glad to see Jalen Hurts do it. And I know that's a bit of a cheap shot. But if you were watching the stats and you saw the reel that we put out this last week about what Jalen Hurts has been doing, it's absolutely right and righteous to claim what we are. But AJ gets one too, the bully that he is. Love AJ Brown.
Bro, the 1 week I decided to bench him because he's been screwing me over.
No, bro, you play the ones. You play the ones.
When they're giving me 3 points, 5 points, 7 points, yeah, I don't play the ones. When he's doing that, then he goes off and I could be 5-1 right now. Yeah, or 6-1. 6-1. Now I'm 5-2.
Get right games are real in the NFL.
I know.
Hurts just had one, and you got hosed because of it.
What a one.
But weird to see, as much as they get 4 touchdowns this game, still weird to see that Barkley is not being Barkley. We've commented on a few times in previous weeks. But
gotta be because of the usage of last year, right? That's the only. That
was my take. Yeah, that was my take coming into the year. Like when you have guys who have the amount of touches he had last year, well over 400 touches for him. Usually those guys the year after that fall off, not because they're suddenly washed. It's just a lot to ask of a guy to do that and then turn around and do it again. Especially when in his case too, like it went the length of the postseason. So that's just a lot of touches. A lot of action for a guy who has also been a little injury prone through his career. It doesn't seem like he has any lingering stuff now, but to go 18 for 44 under 2.5 a carry, and maybe the most like eye-popping thing for me, especially how he torched my team last year multiple times, to have a long of 9 yards in a game is like,
especially when he broke the record last year for the most 50-yard touchdown run in a season last year. He was the home run hitter. And now he's third in carries, so that's not the issue. But he's 23rd in yards in the team, and then tied for 18th in touchdowns. And
one thing that I've noticed that the Eagles aren't doing yet with him, they've done it a couple of times, but it's weeks he's coming off a game and saying, "Hey, I need a bit." Is they're not doing the veteran rest day for him yet every week? So the Niners have been doing this with CMC for the last few years. I think actually after the year they traded for him, so 3 years ago this week they traded for CMC. I know it feels like way longer than that, but 3 years ago they didn't do it the first year, but then after that, on seasons following, so now 3rd season in a row, he's been taking the veteran rest day with Trent Williams and a few of the other guys. Bosa sometimes takes that day, but Trent and him take it every single week. I'd be really curious to see if they haven't done that in the last couple of weeks, or if they're not planning to do that, because the body recovery is just a big deal, right? That's the thing that, as Jamison just pointed out, 400 plus touches does to you, is your body just doesn't recover the way it did before when you've abused it like he did. You need some time. CMC's been playing healthy way too many touches, in my opinion.
100%.
And I hope that decreases as the other guys come back from injury. But yeah, like I think that they need to do something like that too. This is a good control game. Carson Wentz still playing football, by the way, from Minnesota. McCarthy was maybe going into this week, so he's real close. But would like to see the Vikings get healthy and see what they can do. Getting into Sunday night, I was on pins and needles, man, for a lot of this game, even though the Niners had a double-digit lead. It was really interesting to watch because it just felt like the Falcons could at any point start moving this ball. Niners gave them some opportunities at points. Mac Jones getting a lot of credit for, as he should, for how he's been playing. He was pretty pedestrian this game. By the way, the interception that's credited on him, not his fault. Juwan Jennings, I hope I said that, quite literally handed the ball to, I cannot remember which defender ended up with it, but in and out of his hands and handed off. So that was not on Mac. He threw pretty good balls most of the night. If you haven't seen that seam play on 3rd and 13 that he threw to Christian when he went out and lined up in the slot to go down right inside the 5 and then ended up scoring the touchdown eventually there, that was a brilliant ball. Getting pressure from his right side, moves to his left, throws it with his hand and his elbow in a non-natural spot there, and beautiful crossbody and on a dime, man. But it was like, I think he had 15 completions, if I remember right, and like only 26 attempts, because the Niners did something they haven't been able to do all year. They ran the ball like really well. And you know what happened to coincide with them running the ball really well is George Kittle was playing tight end this week. Didn't catch a pass, had 2 targets, didn't catch a pass. But that dude blocking changes games. Also, I'm not again wishing injury on anybody, but Jake Brendel, I have complained on this show. He is of no consequence to most NFL fans. I totally understand that. He is the center for the 49ers, has been the starting center for them for the last 3 years. I'm not a fan at all. And when he went out of this game, this dude, Hennessy, comes in, been our backup going into the season. He's the one who illegally grabbed Christian McCaffrey and dragged him into the end zone. I'm not defending this in any way, shape, or form. That is not legal to do. You cannot do it. He quite literally grabs him under the arms and yanks him into the end zone. Can't deny that he did something wrong. But Hennessy comes in, and with him, the 49ers get chunk yards. I saw Christian McCaffrey running past 8 yards with the ball in his hands. And honestly, the Niners haven't been able to do that at all this year. I know that's probably surprising to you guys. You're like, really? Not at all? No, he has caught the ball and ran, but he has not been able to run the ball past 10 yards. I would guess it was under 3 times maybe on the whole year going into this game, and all of a sudden was able to do it consistency with George out there and his Hennessy holding down the middle spot. And that offensive line struggled last week quite a bit against Tampa and those crazy Todd Bowles looks that he throws out there. So as a Niner fan, it was really cool to see. They end up winning this game 20-10. Great defense, solid dialing up. Finally see the Niners getting after the quarterback. Penix, by the way, I would not assume he's going to play this next week. Got hit in the hand twice in the 4th quarter. I think if it wouldn't have been that late in the 4th quarter, they might have pulled him. That looked bad, especially on the one that ended up being fumble there. Like, that was pretty dicey.
Yeah, he bone bruise on his lower leg day to day as of yesterday.
Well. Yeah, that's not surprising. But no, Niners defense stood up in this game. By the way, Tatum Bethune, who's the guy that's subbing in for Fred Warner after his injury, double-digit tackles as his replacement the last 2 weeks, played fantastic. Talk about it. And he showed up in Fred Warner's 48 to the game. Fred Warner wore 48 his rookie season before changing it because they didn't have the expectation that he was going to be the starting middle linebacker going into the year. He was just a draft pick. And they were like, hey, we got high hopes for him eventually, but he wore 48. And Bethune's been wearing that jersey number, but he wore it with Fred's name on the back this week. Thought that was pretty cool. A little homage to his dude after suffering the injury last week. No, a good win for the 49ers for sure. Needed that one. That game against Tampa was a heartbreaker when you have your team captain on defense go down, your second one, actually, of the year. But looking really good. Secondary played pretty good. And the 49ers this week get a Texans team that has obviously underperformed quite a bit. Did some more of that this last week, and I'll let Grant take it because his Seahawks at least made him feel slightly better about his Monday night this last week.
Yeah, they did for sure. I saw a tweet that was like, switching from the Mariners game to the Seahawks game was like when your parents get divorced and your stepdad is trying to hang out with you. That's what it felt like a little bit. They almost in the same way with the Jaguars a few weeks ago, Matt. If they should have stomped, like they should have just stomped the Texans, but they gave away. They played the sloppiest game I've seen. Mike McDonald's team play where they had like 12 penalties, 4 turnovers, just some really dumb plays there. I don't understand the Cooper Kupp trick play. He's never attempted a pass in the NFL. That's what the announcer said. I swear I thought he had done at least one with the Rams, but apparently had never attempted a pass. So he's 0 for 1 there with a pick there. But there were so many wasted opportunities. I will say though, how was that not a safety? Like I don't understand that sack. His knee was down. His knee was down in the end zone. The ball was in the end zone, and they don't call that a safety on CJ Stroud. I have no idea.
I think I'd have to read the rule word for word, but I think it's essentially how like the progress of the ball is being deemed down in front essentially of that goal line, which is why you get it. It just is one of those. I think that was the right call, but also not yesterday at this point, Sunday was, and some of Monday, but especially Sunday, like this weekend officiating in general was just like,
it was not that good.
I feel like we come in here every week and be like, I can't believe this is the worst officiated week I've ever seen in football.
And they just go, hold my beer and just do it again.
Literally.
Yeah. But I think honestly, this Seahawks team, I think this is the best Seahawks team we've had probably since one of those late teens with Russell Wilson, those like 2017, 2018 teams. They just seem really complete. That defense is for real. That offense is moving the ball down the field. They're the first team to put up over 20 points on the Texans defense. Jason's a monster. He has 819 yards. The second closest guy is Jamar Chase with 630. So he's like a game ahead of everybody right now. And I know some has to do with Puka going down and some of that. But yeah, he's having a monster year. And I remember when we drafted him, when he fell to pick 20, which is crazy. But everyone said, like all of the receivers, because that year with Ohio State, there was Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Jason. There might have been one more guy in there. That was like, there's like a stacked Ohio State offensive room. And because he was injured, he fell. But everyone said that, like in that Rose Bowl, he had 367 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like he was the best wide receiver out of all of those guys, out of Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave. He was the premier guy, but because of that injury, and it's really coming alive. And that connection with Darnold is like real. And I'm really fascinated to see how this season continues for them, because I think they're 2 plays away from being undefeated. There's just that they would have won that 49ers game. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. You know, that week 1 game against the Niners, there's the Bosa strip sack, but Sam Darnold had a guy open in the flat. That would have gotten a touchdown there. And then a ball bounced off a helmet. And it was a bad throw on Darnold. He got pressured, but you got to elevate that ball. But that Bucs defense wasn't stopping the Seahawks all game. And so I think that, they're just a couple plays from being 7-0, but they're 5-2 heading into the bye. You got to feel great for that. And I think the Rams and Seahawks, I think the Niners are going to be fine, but those injuries at some point, that their team's not going to sustain it. It's not I think they're playing well. They're well coached. I think Kyle Shanahan probably deserves deserves coach of the year with what he's doing right now. It's crazy. But the number will be called at some point. It will. You just can't sustain that. And I really do think that the Rams and Seahawks are on a collision course. And I'm real tired of the Rams winning those games. But
I was actually just thinking about this earlier today. I was walking the dog after work, and I was like thinking about, because I was looking earlier, I was like, man, it's so crazy. There's across the NFL, there's 8 5-2 teams, and then 3 teams are like 4-2 because of the bye. And we've always talked about the log jam, and obviously a lot of that is also here in the NFC, and 3 of those are in the NFC West. And I'm like, man, I'm going to be so upset if my team and how I feel about my team this year is boxed out of the playoffs somehow, because the Niners are 5-2 and have one of the easiest schedules throughout the year. So they might just be able to win regular season games, even if I don't feel like they're in a place to make a playoff push. The Seahawks are legit, so like they're going to keep winning games.
And like all the NFC West has an easier schedule this year in general. So we all benefit from that also. But the Niners definitely over all of us for sure.
And so it's okay, if something goes wrong and like we aren't able to win the NFC West and we're looking at a wild card spot, there's like a non-0% chance that even as good as I think the Rams are and will continue to be, it's like nothing is guaranteed, especially right now, just because there are so many good teams. So it's I can't even feel comfortable after a 35-7 win primetime game where Stafford throws for 5 touchdowns, has a 17-2 touchdown interception ratio this year. Defense is looking good, and we're 5-2, and I'm still sitting here. Okay, there's still a chance that I might not really be able to watch like meaningful playoff football.
Come January.
Yeah, now I'm still pretty confident that we will make the playoffs and that some other teams will go different ways. But it's at this point in the year, if you're 5-2, like you at least are feeling, I think, pretty comfortable. There's just so much going on between the North and the West, and even like the East. Like you don't really know anymore what's going on there.
No,
it's tough.
Yeah, and I don't know, and I feel like there's going to be another year where, like the Seahawks were that team last year that you're talking about, where they're the only team, they won 10 games and didn't make the playoffs. I think we might see a couple teams that maybe win double-digit games and don't get it because of just what the wins were, who the wins were against some of these divisions. I think we might see that. I really do. I'm excited. I think for my Hawks too, there's a real conversation that we maybe have a franchise quarterback in Sam Darnold. Like, if he continues to play well and they go to a playoff game, if they win one, say they win a wild card game or something like that, he's 7th in yards, 8th in touchdowns, 6th in QBR. He's a top 10 quarterback right now, the way he's playing. He had a pretty ugly game this week overall, is easily his worst game, but also playing a great defense. But he's playing really well. He's not putting the ball in harm's way, and they're playing well. Jason's a monster. We'll see, man. We'll see if him or Nakua can maybe actually break a record here, because at one point Nakua was, and now he was on pace for that. JSN is too. He just has to average 117 or 100. No, he's averaging 117 yards a game. He's got to average, 100 a game or something like that.
Yeah, I think Puka missing last week is really going to do it in, but Puka's still 3rd with 616, but that's a 200-yard gap now.
That's
with
a huge gap.
One game missed, so I don't know about that. But yeah, we'll see.
Jason's a monster.
It's been exciting to watch. I think my only thing, and this isn't me just trying to be a Seahawks hater, is I feel like I just need to see it happen with Sam Darnold, at least for a game, to feel like good. Let me see one go through the net, and then it's okay. Now I can at least believe that he's got it in him, because I think that's the trickiest thing. But watching those regular season games, there's every game a deep post that goes to JSN that's just dropped in the bucket for
he has just
70 yards.
There's some of the best throws this season have been just those corner outs to JSN, like just in the whole league, not just for the Seahawks. He's just had some beautiful dimes this season. So we'll see. And yeah, I think it is. The only reason I say that is because the dude's only 20. He's 28. I'm looking at it right now. He came into the league super young, and it's really only like a 1-year deal, and it's only like $36 million, which again, for what you're getting at this point, is just a bargain to get top 10 quarterback play at $36 million a year. Like the way he's playing, and now that's like the benchmark is $50 million. He's playing like a $50 million quarterback. Matt Stafford's playing like a $50 million quarterback right now. And we're just seeing some of these guys who are getting paid that wrapping
Look
it up.
how much money guys like Tua and Kyler Murray are getting right now.
Bro, I'm going to keep saying it. Kyler Murray's trash, bro. He's so bad. The Cardinals have moved the ball better with him being gone. Like now they haven't won games, but that offense is moving better without Kyler Murray right now. And in some ways it sucks, because I did draft him fantasy because I thought the rushing thing.
I have him in the only league I'm really doing anything in this year, which is my primary guillotine league. I had him just because I had the last pick in guillotine. I was like, I need a quarterback at some point.
Yeah,
So
I have him and Marvin Harrison. I thought Marvin Harrison would take a step up and also try and get the double up there. And so that's kind of why I did it. And I probably picked Kyler Murray a little higher, but I wanted that double up. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure right now. I'm 5-2 in fantasy right now, but my weak spot is definitely quarterback, because it's Kyler Murray and it's Jordan Love right now. Don't love that, but I've got a million wide receivers, so I got to move off some of these guys here. I've got AJ Brown, Marvin Harrison, JSN, Chris Olave, like Zay Flowers. I got to move off a couple of these guys and get a better quarterback, and that's my plan this next week or two.
I can't help you in the quarterback department, but if you want to toss me a receiver, I did just lose Mike Evans.
We'll see. This is the first time first time I've ever played with you in a league, Matt. And so my rule has been, because you've told me like trades that you've done, and my rule has been, and I told you, if I'm ever in a league with you, I'm never trading with you.
No one should.
So I'm probably not going to, but I'm trying to look and see where I can upgrade at quarterback. So we'll see.
I don't understand why anyone accepts trades that I send them. Dude, I've worked all that out already. If I send you a trade,
it's for you. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Why else would you? Why else would you? If you're sending out a trade, it's because the person sending it knows that they are getting the better deal, the better end of the deal here.
And a lot of people think that they know that. I know that. And I said it last week. I'm here for weeks 16, 17, and 18. Sorry, 15, 16, and 17. I'm here for the last 3. I do not care about anything anymore. I know I already made the playoffs. I'm good.
Yeah. For me, this is the best year. I'm in 4 leagues. I'm on the chopping block in the A League. I'm in 2 other leagues. And I'm 6-1, 6-1, still alive in the chopping block, and then 5-2 in the A League. So this is easily the best year I've had. So
yeah, I don't think I have 2 losses in the A League because
you and I both lost this week.
Josh Allen. So I had my quarterback bye week, and I had my number 1 guy bye week this week. So I looked at my projections and stuff. I was like, this is going to be rough. I don't know how I win this one. And stuff went south for me on a couple of them. So I started Caleb Williams this week. Yep.
Not the week for that, unfortunately.
By the way, how are they freaking 4-2? How are the Bears 4-2?
I told you they would be better than the Vikings this year. Just saying.
Crud.
Well, speaking of the Vikings, James and I were talking about Sam Darnold a little bit, but the Vikings might be regretting letting Sam Darnold walk with the way he's playing and not getting anything out of J.J. McCarthy here.
Yeah, you don't know. For the Vikings,
you still don't know. Yeah,
like,
but you still don't know. But you still don't know what you have.
No.
Going into the year, we're almost October, and we're almost the end of October next week. We're almost Halloween, and you still don't know what you have at quarterback. You don't know if he's the future or not. That's the scary place to be as a franchise.
It totally does. And that sucks. Like, I genuinely feel bad for him. But I will say, we know he's had 1 good week. We know he's capable.
He had 1
came on his
quarter.
back, in 1 quarter. That was all he needed.
He's capable. It'll be interesting to see what happens. By the way, via Yahoo Sports, for those of you going back to that discussion really quick, if you are thinking about playoffs right now, okay, I'm 5-2 in 2 leagues, and I'm alive in our Guillotine League, and I am 6-1 in the other one, okay? So if you have won 0 games to this point, you still have a 3.5% chance of making the playoffs.
You're saying there's a chance.
It ain't nothing. If you're 1-6, that doubles. You're 7.3. If you're 2-5, you have basically a 1-5, 19 point whatever % chance. If you're 3-4, you still have a 40% chance to make the playoffs. If you're 4-3, real good odds, 66%. If you're 5-2, 85%. If you are 6-1, 95.5% chance. And if you are 7-0, 98.7. I will tell you that I know someone, it is not me, who was 8-0 and missed the playoffs last year. Because his league was pretty good, and he didn't have the points, the point level to overcome to. And that was a standard 10-man league. He finished 7th.
Dang.
You lose whatever that is, 6 straight games, and that could happen. There was, by the way, 2 teams that were like 1-13 or 1-14 1-13, and like another one was like 2-11 or whatever that is, 2-12. Math is hard. But just so you guys know, those are your odds. I was going to get to a couple things really quick that happened or that have happened so far this season before we go to pick 'em for this week. I mentioned we talked a lot about the Giants earlier. The Giants this week released their kicker, Jude. Oh man, I hate his last name, McCatamney. I hate trying to say it. He became the only kicker in the last 40 years to miss 2 extra points, neither of which were blocked, in a game in which his team lost by 1 point, by the way.
Points matter, man.
So
they always do.
Brian Dable blaming other people, by the way. I just thought, I was like, no, it's still his fault. And it is. We didn't talk about them at all today, just really quickly, but did you see the comments coming out of the ownership that likes to give us fuel for fire? Mr. Johnson up in New York said some rather disapproving things today of his quarterback.
I did not see that.
He is not a fan. He praised today. I'm quoting directly from an article on ESPN today. He praised Glenn for turning around parts of the team, but added, "It's hard when you have a quarterback with a rating that he's got. He has ability, but just something is not jiving. You have to play consistently at that position, and that's what we're going to try and do for the remainder of the season." Then he delivers this line after talking about the improvements on defense and special teams. He says, "If we can just complete a pass, it would look good."
So my question is, when Woody Johnson is talking about ratings, he's talking about Madden ratings, because that's what he.
Same thing. Oh,
Yeah,
I hope people know what we're talking about when we talk about it, because it's one of my favorite clips of our show.
because
To finding out how he made decisions last year.
yeah. So as much as I probably would agree with that, I'm going to listen to nothing that clown says, because he looks at a video game to decide what his multi-million-dollar franchise should do, and listens to his dumb teenage sons. Like we talked about earlier, you're emotional teenagers. You don't know what you're talking about.
And also, I could have told you that about Justin Fields for a lot less money, by the way. So
Yeah, for sure.
I have a few things I'll get to about teams in the pick'em, but I wanted to say in relation to George Kittle coming back this week, I was looking at the win-loss. The 49ers are 114-64 with George. They score 25 points a game. They score almost 3 touchdowns a game. They average 373 yards a game. Their fourth down percentage goes up to 52 when George Kittle plays football for the 49ers. They are 10-14 without him.
how many Super Bowls do they win when George Kittle plays football?
0.
Oh, okay.
So I hope you let your toe sit underneath a moving lawnmower in the next 2 days. But yeah, you look at the fourth down percentage in particular. I won't go over all the stats, but it goes from 52 to 38.7. Like, pretty drastic numbers with him in. I was talking about his blocking ability. By the way, we're going to start having to have conversations. In the years past, we've done trackers on MVP. I think where it's a little early, but one guy deserves some mention right now, who is not named Daniel Jones, because Daniel Jones should be towards the top of the list, as should Baker Mayfield. Okay, we're going outside the quarterback spectrum. I'm not ready to put Josh Allen there yet. We don't know what the Bills are. They haven't been playing good enough. We do know they win the games they do that because of Josh Allen. But we mentioned his name already today. Speaking of the 49ers, 450-plus rushing yards, 450-plus receiving yards in their first 7 games of the season. 2 players in the history of the NFL have done this. Their names are Christian McCaffrey and Marshall Faulk in 2000, who won the MVP award that year. Given some credibility, and that's touches based. I'm not being unrealistic about that as 49er. What he's doing is not as a 49er fan, sorry, but what he's doing is not sustainable, in my opinion. The 49ers need to figure out how to give Brian Robinson more touches. He did run the ball 10 times this week. Robinson did, and that's the most carries he's had so far this season. But I think there's some real credibility to the case that he's making right now to be considered maybe in that top 3. And that would be my top 3 right now: Daniel Jones, Baker, and Christian.
Can I tell you something? I think Matthew Stafford needs to be in that conversation. And that might be a homer pick, but the dude is 3rd in passing yards. The team is 5-2, and he has a 17-2 touchdown interception ratio so far.
All valid. All valid. If he goes 34-4 on the season and he's 6 less than Lamar from last year, absolutely.
Yeah.
If he just doubled those stats, totally should be in a conversation. But I think with I mainly note the turnaround, obviously, for the Colts, that's going to put Daniel Jones up at the top of it.
Jonathan Taylor is going to split some of that, I think, for him, unfortunately.
Or is Daniel Jones going to win comeback player of the year?
Or is Shane Steichen going to win a coach of the year? Because, again, I feel like all of those things, like we talked last year about the Vikings,
are happening now.
Pull votes from, like, different things. But
yeah, you could just win comeback player of the year every year.
Or the guy who died on the field.
Yeah, that should have happened. I'm still angry about that one. Super angry about that one. No, Daniel Jones could win. Could he win comeback plus win MVP in the same season?
If he continues to go crazy.
John Taylor's got 11 touchdowns already. Can't deny that.
Offensive player of the year, running away with it right now.
I think the 2 for offensive player of the year is Jonathan Taylor and probably JSN, but it's probably Jonathan Taylor. And CMC. Those 3. That's the 3. Honestly, you probably can't go wrong with either of those because they're all doing something special in their own.
The NFC West is going to have MVP and offensive player of the year guys all over the place.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's so early to do that. You'll see the separation. We'll see
It'll
that
happen.
November really creates a lot of separation. Guys start dealing with a ton of those nag injuries that they've been putting up with so far, and you start to see some stuff coming back down. I would hope when the 49ers hit a easier portion of their schedule that we don't see Christian McCaffrey in every stinking series. I would like him to take some off. I'd really love that. So we're going to see those numbers come down. Like, that happens. But it'll be interesting. Who knows, dude? Jamar Chase had a rough start with having no quarterback here, but if he's going to get 23 looks a game, that's
Yeah,
quickly in those conversations.
no
too.
kidding.
But let's go ahead. Oh, the last one I wanted to say, I apologize. Not every week am I going to say a lot of stuff about the 49ers, but this is funny. Connor Colby, you guys don't know who that is, and that's fine. You shouldn't. There's no reason that you should. He plays for the 49ers. He was the first 49ers rookie to catch a pass this week. There's a little problem with that statement. Jordan Watkins is a wide receiver that plays for the 49ers. He's been dealing with an injury, hasn't caught a ball yet. Jordan James, the running back from Oregon, plays for the 49ers. He's not seeing action really at all because of an early injury. Then plus he's on that depth chart, and CMC's been killing it. Connor Colby plays offensive guard in the NFL.
Oh,
And he caught the first pass of any 49ers rookie this season on Sunday for a game. Batted ball literally lands in his hands. Dude grabs it, turns around, and runs. Didn't go real far, but I think it was about 6-7 yards total. But he is the first 49er rookie this year to catch a ball. And that was really funny to me. Also, Christian McCaffrey right now is the third leading pass catcher in the NFL at 53 receptions off of 68 targets, by the way, for 516 yards. He plays running back.
it's only 5 behind Jamar Chase, who is at 58. Who's number 1?
He has more catches than guys like Unra, JSN, Devonta Smith, Drake London, though absolutely the tight ends you would think. Ferguson, who's having a phenomenal year for the Cowboys. McBride, as always. He's
wide receiver 1 right now for all intents and purposes. Yeah,
he is. That was a pretty standout stat that I just wanted to hit. But let's get into our pick'em so that we can talk about a couple of the other things I want to. Now, our first game this week is the Vikings at Chargers. I do want to know, does somebody mind checking the injury report on McCarthy's status? Because to me,
I think he's still out, as far as I've heard, which to me, again, we haven't talked about it much. Maybe this is a good time to mention it real quick. This isn't a new take. It's been circulating within the past couple of weeks. Does feel a little bit like a soft benching for JJ after that ankle injury, because they initially said 2 to 4 weeks, and now everyone's like, oh no, it was always going to be longer than that. But it's like, I think he just got banged up and they didn't like what they saw, and so it's just hey, you're hurt, but let's not rush you back and see if we can just go 500 for as long as we can. But as far as I know, I think he's still out for this week. I think they're still rolling with Wentz.
Yes, according to Tom Pelissero, Kevin O'Connell says that the team put JJ McCarthy through an on-field workout this morning. While the team is encouraged, he is, quote, just not there on a short week. So Carson Wentz will start.
Yeah, this is our Thursday game this week. It's also a road game. So I would not expect that in this scenario, they're ready to run him out there. That's not super surprising. I was just looking at that. But that is, and I'm not saying that's the decider on what I'm going to pick this week, but I did think it was valuable for the discussion today. So you got a banged up Chargers team coming off a loss to Indiana Jones, and you've got the Vikings who are coming off a tight game, although it did look like the Eagles were in charge most of that game. I know it was a one-score game in the end there, but realistically, Eagles moved the ball. They did get some key stops on defense. They looked good. But, I'm going to go last on this one. I'm going to hand it off to Jamison for the first call. Are you taking the Chargers at home, or are you feeling all right about the Vikings this week on the road?
I'm going to take the Chargers. As injured as they are in the key places that they are, I just think they have more dogs right now. And despite that loss, pretty big game from Justin Herbert this last week. So I'm feeling a little bit better about that. The Vikings have a solid defense, but so do the Chargers. And I just don't know if Wentz and that offense can do as much against the Chargers, especially on a short week. Now, the short week games are fluky, so it almost would be maybe like in my best interest to do the opposite of what I'm anticipating. But I do think I've been rolling with this since the beginning. I do think the Chargers are like taking a step up this year. They've just gotten hosed by injuries, and they're still 4-3. So I think if you're 5-3 after the first 8 weeks of the season, despite the injuries, I think you're still feeling pretty good. And I think they definitely want that.
Grant.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Chargers as well. Just having a backup quarterback away on Thursday Night Football, those are elements that you do not like. And so most of the time, Thursday night is weird and fluky, but I'm going to stick with a usual thing and take a home team on a short week. That just makes way more sense to me. So that's what I'm doing.
I feel that. I'm going to stick with you guys. Yeah, if this was Carson after Sunday, if JJ had gotten hurt on Sunday and Carson's coming on Thursday, I'd probably zag here just because of the injuries to the Chargers. But the Chargers have played multiple games with the scenario now that they're in, and I think
have to adapt,
correct what they need to correct, and they just have better. They have a better overall roster. They do, and in my opinion, they still have the better coach. I know that there's a lot to be, and I'm not dogging when I say that. I just think Harbaugh's a better coach overall, and that matters in games that we expect to be tight. So if I was picking a score here, and I'm technically not, I'd be 27-20 and feel pretty good about it. I think Herbert has proved that his right arm, if he can just get enough time, can move literal mountains. Mike on this one is also with us, taking the Chargers.
Which, by the way, did we run down the records already?
No, at the end. I'll do it at the end.
At the end. Okay.
Our next one on the snake here, I'll go first, is the Cowboys at the Broncos.
This is the hardest one to me on this list.
I do not like this game, but we had to pick it because there's not a lot of good ones this week.
There's not trash. There's just not.
Lots of good teams are on buys.
Yes.
Which
that's insane. There's the Rams, the Seahawks, what else?
The Cardinals.
The Cardinals are 3 NFC West teams. Like, what's going on here?
My Niners are the only ones playing this week. That's kind of wild.
That's so stupid. There's 6 teams on buys. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. This is one of the 2 heavy bye weeks. I wanted to mention this, by the way, about the Broncos as we do this. If you looked at that game this last week, 33-32, or win over the Giants. If you guys didn't see this is pretty powerful stuff, okay? You can't tell me there's not a God. You can't tell me that he doesn't care about all of us, and you can't tell me that he's not about the details. Demaryius Thomas, legend, was honored in this game. Passed away this last year. When he died, he was 33 years old. Broncos final score, 33 points. They scored all 33 points in the fourth quarter. They had 2 8-point drives. His number, 88. The defense recorded 33 solo tackles. Again, started a game-winning drive with 33 seconds left. You can't tell. Just coincidental thing.
And wasn't that the game where they brought him into the Broncos Ring of Honor or whatever, retired his whatever?
Honored him
number
in this game. I think that those things are hilarious. A little odd sometimes. It's like remember the Alex Smith injury and the Joe Theismann comparison?
Same field, same yard line.
Spot on the field, same quarter, like same day. Literally same day. It wasn't just same week of the NFL season. It was the same day that many years later. Wild. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about in picking this game. However, I needed to mention it. Cowboys at the Broncos. Broncos just coming off that win that should not have been a win. A lot of confidence there in that offense. Man, I hate this, but this game's gonna have a bazillion points. Like a bazillion. This should be a 40-plus pointer for both teams. Maybe. Broncos defense should probably step up and stop somebody. That would be a good idea. This is in Denver. Crap, guys, I still don't feel good about this. I'm taking the Broncos. I'm just going to take the Broncos. They're winning games that they shouldn't win, and this is a game they probably should win. You know, that Cowboys defense sucks. Worse than all the other defenses. It doesn't actually, but it's really close. I'm just going to take the Broncos at home with 1 trillion points. They're going to score 44, like 44-37. And the 37 is going to come because this game just gets wild. That just happens sometimes, even when the defense is good. That's me. Grant.
If the Giants could score 33 or could score 32, this Cowboys team is going to score like 85. I'm taking the Cowboys on this one. I thought this Broncos defense would be good, but when you give up that kind of points to a Giants team that's missing their star wide receiver, that's pretty average. Jackson starts playing well, But I'm taking the Cowboys here. I think we're gonna slaughter. So I'm taking the Cowboys here.
Don't hate it.
I like that offense better.
Yeah, and I'm going to make this one quick too because I'm also going to pick the Cowboys. I picked them last week for kind of the same reason. I just think, again, it's a race to 40, and I still don't love this Broncos offense. I still don't love Bo Nix, and if against a Cowboys defense, like the Bo Nix was more lethal, I still just don't think that's even enough gas to boat race the Cowboys offense. And you know what? This could be a Williams revenge game. We'll see. We'll see.
Oh, that's true. I totally forgot. Yeah, that guy's been a monster, by the way. Holy cow, I did not see that coming. Proved me wrong. Javonte Williams being like an insane fantasy option. Holy cow.
But yeah, I agree with you, Grant. This could be, they could double them up. I'm being honest with you. I do think that.
Like they're
as bad as that defense is, I just think they just score so much.
Yeah, they're gonna go gangbusters on them.
Let's stay with you, Jamison. This next one has to do with teams we've been talking about a lot today.
It's also tough.
Giants at the Eagles division matchup. This should stress you out. This is not a clear-cut game. The Giants are rejuvenated. The rookies are playing ball. Brian Burns is hitting people in the face again. What happens here? Tell me, Jamison.
As much as I hate it, I'm going to keep it quick here too. I do think the Eagles win this. I think it being in Philadelphia is a huge thing for them. If they don't split their games with the Giants this year, then they are who we thought they were this year with the Eagles, from my perspective, because I was down on them, being a little bit of a hater as per usual when it comes to the Eagles. But I just think the Giants, this could be, I guess if you lose to the Eagles, maybe that's not the fireable offense because the Eagles are still like the best roster probably in football right now. But I don't know. You come off of a heartbreaking loss and then you have to go to Philadelphia and beat the Eagles. I'm just not sure about that. Jackson Dart's also already continuing to get beat up a little bit. So I don't love that element of that versus an aggressive Eagles defense. I'm going to be rooting for the Giants. Don't get me wrong. But I do think, again, just where this is being played, I think that's a little too tall a task for Jackson Dart and the Giants right now to go in there and beat the Eagles. So, yeah, I'm going to run with the Eagles here.
Grant.
I can't be stupid. I'm way behind. Pick them. Eagles. For all the same reasons, there's not much to add there. The Eagles are a better team. They got more talent. It's at home. It's become one of the toughest places to play. And I think the Eagles players are probably pretty ticked off about their performance a couple weeks ago in primetime. And I think that's going to add a little gas onto the fire for them, especially coming off a game where they were better on offense. I'm not going to say they're great, but definitely for them, really good for them on the Eagles curve. Really good. And I'm gonna go with that. I think AJ Brown's gonna have another monster game. He is the number 1 ranked wide receiver in man coverage, and no one runs man more than the Giants. So I think he's going, at least as of the last time they played him, which was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm going. I think the Eagles are gonna win.
Okay. I don't think that you don't get the Eagles twice. So I'm gonna stay with you guys on this one. I'm also gonna take the Eagles. By the way, Mike took Cowboys, Eagles, so I am the only one taking the Broncos. You don't get them twice, and there's no reason to belabor the point on this one because we got a tougher game to pick, in my opinion, on this next one. Packers at Steelers. Packers at Steelers.
I'll go.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is no stats. This is all gut. This is an all gut pick. Go Pack, go. No idea. I don't got stats to prove it. The Packers have not been as great as we've thought they were going to be. We were saying potential, Super Bowl kind of team here. Especially those first 2 weeks. Tying with the Cowboys is not good. Losing to the Browns, not good. But this is a vibe. This isn't a spiritual zag or anything like that. This is a vibe pick. And I'm just vibing with some green and yellow right now. So I'm going Packers.
I'll go next. I think the Packers run the ball incredibly well. I think it keeps them in games. They've been inconsistent for sure. Didn't look good in the first half this last week, by the way. Did not look good. Cardinals scared them for 2 quarters. But they make adjustments really well at halftime. And again, as much as they haven't been consistent with the win column, I think you can take, if you took the Browns game as a fluke, you don't feel bad about taking them here. I'll go ahead and take Pack as well over the Steelers. It's not a hate pick. This has to do a whole lot more with one team being able to run the ball consistently really well. And I think that's something that you need to be able to beat the Steelers with. You got to do it. And either that or you got to have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. But yeah, I think run the ball against the Steelers is going to be important, and they do it great.
Yeah, I did almost for a second have some pause here, but I do think that I'm going to go with the Packers. Micah Parsons, 3-sack game last week. Aaron Rodgers, not as sacked as I thought he would have been this year overall, just given, again, his age and the lack of mobility. It might not be as tough of a week for him because they didn't really struggle with that against Cleveland. I thought that Cleveland could do something in that game because Myles Garrett trying to chase down a geriatric quarterback. Usually you would maybe put some money on that. But I think this week, I agree with what you said. Even if they haven't been running as successfully with the Packers as maybe you would expect them to, the Steelers, even still, like we talked about it last week, what they gave up to Chase Brown and the Bengals offensively, the Packers have a much better run game. They have obviously a better passing game, at least so far this season, just given the ups and downs of the Bengals roster. And I think they're just a well-coached team, especially to win regular season games. Not that Tomlin is a bad coach by any means, but again, high floor for the Steelers, low ceiling. I think the Packers can just do it in more ways. And I think we maybe have another big Micah Parsons week, maybe like a 2-sack game, makes an impact play somewhere. And I just don't think the Steelers can play from behind. So even though it's in Pittsburgh, we're going with the Pack.
Mike is taking the zag on that one. He's got the Steelers at home, and we need to gain a few games. Jamison and I both 23-12. Mike is sitting at 26-9. Grant is bringing in the rear at 21-14, which if you're a betting individual is not a bad number at all.
It's bad when we all know ball, though.
Yeah. We're so good at this, you guys. So good. For our last pick this week, because that's it. There's 4 good games on paper. 4. They're just 4 good games this week. Kind of lame. Again, heavy bye week. 6 good teams not playing, or 6 teams not playing. Several of them good.
You just called the Cardinals a good team right there, buddy.
I almost also called the Ravens a good team. But the Commanders and the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. Currently, what we're going to do is play the over-under that stands at 48.5. Okay, I'm pulling resources from DraftKings here on this one. And so we're just going to take the over-under. That's it. Instead of picking winner or loser, you got to guess total points. I just looked. Jaden Daniels very much so in doubt for this week, it appears. Both top wide receivers questionable. One more so than the other right now for the Commanders. But they did put up 22 points last week without those guys. So do we think, if you were to say, okay, 22 points, that means the Chiefs got to score 27 to get us there, to get us to 49. Personally, just doing the math there, Chiefs don't play a ton of high-scoring games. That's not who they are, but Rashid Rice is back. That offense is stretching the field a little better, so you could make the case.
They scored 31 last week.
Yep. I, however, am going to go ahead and take the under based on more so on the Commanders. I feel pretty good on the under here. Jamison's nodding his head a lot, so I'm just he knows what he wants to take.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the under here as well. I don't think the Commanders are going to be able to contribute to that number enough this week against the Spags defense that I think is just going to be reared up and ready to go against Marcus Mariota-led offense with backup receivers on it. Yeah, I think the Chiefs are going to score 30, but I think the Commanders are like, I don't know, they might score 13 points this week.
Give me the number again. Stay over under.
48.5.
48.5. I think I'm going to take the over. I think 34-17. I'm going to take the over.
That would be, I just want to point this out. That would be.
Is that not? Is that?
It's over, but it's only.
It's what, 51?
Yeah. I think 34-17 is going to be the score. I'm taking the over.
So you're just going to go Chiefs score the most points they scored all year for sure.
Yeah.
Commanders score, I think that would be, is that not the least amount of points they scored all year? And that both of those things definitely happened in this game?
That's what I'm thinking. Yes. I think
And-
I think the Commanders are going to score garbage time. They're going to score some garbage time touchdowns.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to go.
Mike had them at the ender based on his
score
numbers he gave us here.
We'll give Mike an option to, because I changed the format of this game after Mike put his picks in. We'll give Mike the option to change if he wants to and make sure that gets down, and we'll keep our stuff up to date. But yeah, I don't love that number, though. It's a hard one to predict. I don't know what you guys, those of you watching, would pick, but for us, that's a little bit tough. We, as always, love getting into the details of these games, breaking stuff down, and having a conversation about where we think these teams are at. But we did have I had a little bit of fun engagement this last week with one person commenting on video. One of the reels jumped in and was having a dialogue about the Eagles and had a few things about what Jalen Hurts did. I always love commenting on these. I think it's super fun. I did remind him, he goes, the Eagles are 5-2. What are we worried about here? Da, 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 da. And I said,
playoffs. That's what we're worried about.
Yeah.
The
film is saying that your team is not elite right now. And we were very fair about the fact that we said the week prior, Jalen Carter was not on the field. Okay. We're very fair about that. All we're doing is letting the numbers speak for themselves. And when you say that your team's 5-2, in my opinion, as a fan of a team who is also 5-2, I don't think that means a lot. I think it means something, but those two losses are really like on your quarterback, like genuine. And you should be concerned about that. I do think you should be concerned about the way he has to win games most of the time. This week, he caught the Vikings, has had a couple great downfield throws. Worked out well for him. Devonta was in pursuit on that ball. I made a whole mention of that. Give him credit where credit's due. Jalen will have these games, but consistently not doing this. And if of all the teams that are 5-2, okay, my 49ers have removed expectations. I'm hopeful for double-digit wins based on the schedule we have. It's still very doable. I'm hopeful for that. But I don't have Super Bowl aspirations in my head. That's in my heart.
You just can't with the injuries. You just can't.
No, it's in my heart.
Yeah.
Fred Warner, they're saying, could maybe play football in January. I'm excited to hear that out loud. But do I think he's gonna? No. And do I think he's gonna be 100%? No. And Tatum Bethune looks really good right now. So just don't do that. Come back next year when we're all whole. But I understand the reality of my team's 5-2 record. What I'm asking Eagles fans, and this guy in particular, is, do you understand the reality of your team's 5-2 record? Because it's pretty mid. Like, you're pretty mid right now. And for everybody else watching still at this point in the podcast, I just would ask you, like, wherever your team is at, do you feel that's the reality of your team? Is that really who you are? The 49ers, the Seahawks, the Rams, all represented by fans on this show, the hosts of this podcast, all sitting at 5-2. Do we really think our teams are 5-2? I know the other two guys do. I think their teams have earned those 5-2 records for sure. Not saying the 49ers haven't. But I'm going to say this out loud, and one person's going to get really mad at me. I think my head coach is coaching out of his mind, and of the three of them, is coaching the best right now. I'm not going to say he's the best coach because somebody might hang a Super Bowl win on me.
So while you were gone, I said that Mike Shanahan right now probably deserves Coach of the Year for what he's doing.
Kyle does. Mike's okay. He's had his
Whatever.
time. But
you know what I meant.
Legitimately, you catch me on name crap all the time.
That's
so
true.
that one
Fair enough.
But no, like right now, he's coaching out of his mind. That's why my team's 5-2. Grant's team's 5-2 because genuinely they have a really solid defense, special teams, and they have a receiver who's playing out of his mind, out of his stinking mind. I talked about it last week. He is playing better than Puka right now. Not saying he's better than Puka, just saying he's playing better than him right now. And he's literally playing better than everybody that plays his position right now. You can't deny that. The stats add all that up. It is what it is. Like, he's making the most out of every touch. He looks like Ayuk 2 years ago. Like, genuinely, looks great. The Rams have a great young defense. Their quarterback just threw 5 touchdown passes because of some great field position opportunity this last week. The defense is putting them where they need to be. Sean McVay's pulling all the right strings. They're as healthy as you need to be 5-2. Love to have a couple moments back, especially that game against the Eagles, which, by the way, I don't know if those Eagles should be 5-2. I really think that they should be 4-3 and maybe worse. Genuinely, we know why our teams are 5-2. So why does your team have that record? And is your team that record right now? Because in 2 weeks, you should know who your team is. Barring any major injuries, setbacks, whatever, you should know who your team is. And they're going to show you right now. These games this week, tons of high-low, tons of it. You've got 5 and 2s playing teams that suck, 2 and 5s. My team's playing the Texans this week. Your guys' teams are off, but you will see a lot of this. Are the Bears really 4 and 2? Are they good enough to be 4 and 2, or did they just have some dumb moments? Jake Moody all of a sudden decided to make some field goals for first time in his freaking life as an NFL player. Anyway, what are they? And you're going to find out real fast. But ask yourself, is my team really this record, or are they about to become something else, either good or bad? Is it really real? I think all Eagles fans especially should be asking themselves, what is my team? I don't think Chiefs fans know what their team is. I don't think Chargers fans know what their team is. I don't think Broncos fans know what their team is. The Giants have no idea what their team is. I don't think Packers fans know. There's so much unknown, and that's the beauty of the NFL. We're this far into it, and we still don't know everything, but we're about to, because mid-season is everything, and it starts the momentum or it kills it. That is what it does. It's when rubber meets road. This is when it gets fun. This is when it gets dirty, and on the other side, we're going to find everything out, and it's beautiful. So, man, get ready to ride the wave the next couple of weeks, because it's going to be great. Or it's not. One of the two. But we're all going to find out together. We'll see you on next week's episode of Sportsify.